am Olajumoke Olatunji. President Bola Tinubu continues to have audience with critical stakeholders in the Nigerian project, as former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike led the G5 governors to meet with him at the presidential villa, Abuja. On the interview segment for today, we focus on winning the war against banditry and terrorism with the former Chief of Training and Operations of the Nigerian Army, retired Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun, as our guest. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines and now to some developments in the polity. Former River State Governor Nyesom Wike has led the group once referred to as the G5 governors to meet with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa in Abuja. Other members of the group are Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, former governors of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, Enugu State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, and Abia State, Okezie Ikpeazu. This group are members of the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, that disagreed with the decision of their party to pick a northern presidential candidate against the principle of power shifts to the south. For former Governor Wike and Governor Makinde, this is not the first time they will be given audience by President Tinubu after he was sworn in on the 29th of May. But this is the first time the group will meet the new president. The governor of Akwa Ibom State, Umo Eno, has visited President Bola Tinubu at the State House. Governor Eno of the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, was accompanied by his Plateau State counterpart, Caleb Mothwang, who is also from the same party. While addressing journalists after the private meeting with the president, Governor Eno said, with elections over, it is time to focus on business of governance. The Akwa Ibom governor believes that there are lots of projects underway and working at variance with the president cannot bring them to fruition. He stated that he discussed with President Tinubu some of the areas where his state required federal interventions, including the Calabar-Itu Road, Ibom Deep Seaport, export license, and a free trade zone for Calabar airports.
The President has directed that state governors, of course, should work on palliatives for the citizenry. We'll do just that. There are a number of things, and as we get into early next week, if you focus on Akwa Ibom, you'll see the various things we are going to put in place to support our people. We'll need the President to help us intervene and let's get that, finish the road. We talked about our Ibom Deep Sea Port. We will need the President to also intervene and let's get the seaport. I also mentioned to him the export license, the free zone for our airport so that we can, the maintenance, repairs, and overall overhauling facility there.
The aspiration of fourth-term member Tajuddin Abbas to lead the 10th House of Representatives has received a further boost. This comes as majority of members-elect from the Northwest and the North Central geopolitical zones have declared support for the APC nominee for the office of the Speaker. National Assembly correspondent Jakir Disa has more in this report.
The countdown to the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly next Tuesday is on. In the next 6 days, the new presiding officers to steer the ship of the next House will have been known. Campaigns and lobbying are still ongoing among contenders for the seat of Mr. Speaker. But the coast gets clearer for the team of Tajuddin Abbas and Benjamin Kalu, with support coming daily from different quarters. President Bola Tinubu and the Forum of Progressive Governors have made public their support for the party's choice. The latest additions to the growing support are coming from the Northwest and the North Central zones. 74 of the 92 members elect from the Northwest have declared support for APC's nominees.
To all other political parties that have formed part of this coalition, this great political coalition from the Northwestern zone of this country, the NPP are here, the PDP members are here, we have LP, the Labour Party, are here. We are here irrespective of our political alliances. Our own, I repeat, our own Dr. Tajuddin Abbas provides the fulcrum upon which we revolve to represent our people as a united front on the floor of the House of Representatives.
In another endorsement exercise, more than 30 of the 51 members elect from the North Central have lent support to the same cause.
This ongoing process is yielding this positive result because of the hard work Tajuddin Abbas and Benjamin Kal have put into the process. They have knocked on doors, they have reached out to lawmakers from all sides, all divides, across all ethnic and religious lines, and across all political divide, and the response is what you are seeing with this massive endorsement and pledging of votes that is happening across all zones in the country.
The Speaker aspirant is thankful for all the support as he promises not to let the nation down. If all the support coming from his way translates to votes, Tajuddin Abbas will succeed Femi Gbajabiamila as Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives. Joke Edsa, TVC News, Abuja.
Let's take a short break, and when we return, it will be time to speak with our guest of the day, who is the former Chief of Training and Operations of the Nigerian Army, retired Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun, for discussion on winning the war against banditry and terrorism. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's always a great morning on the TVC Breakfast Show.
Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
With the array of stories that matter and what's behind them.
As you say, the first blow indicates the direction of government.
Tell us what really is going on between your union and the federal government.
Once it's generated, you have
Don't use it, it's waste.
We are not even sure whether we have a strategy for security.
Are you saying that there was nothing wrong in that?
Was he the one driving the taxi?
Answer the question.
Reveal your morning with all you need to know.
Like
Yes, just mundane lyrics.
Yes.
How does that fit into your scheme of events or duties right now?
No chief of staff, no general has the right to call a governor to order. The governor has been elected by his people.
Start your day right, because this is the breakfast show that adds to your breakfast. TVC Breakfast, weekdays at 7 a.m. only on TVC News.
There is always more to a story than the scripted line. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am joined by the former Chief of Training and Operations of the Nigerian Army and retired Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun for discussion on winning the war against banditry and terrorism. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty of our discussion tonight, I mean, this is my first time of having a conversation with you, so let's get personal for some minutes. How did you come to be a soldier? Did you become a soldier by accident?
Well, I would say
my becoming a soldier is by providence. As a very young person, after my teacher training college, my intention was to go for higher institution and higher studies, which I planned for, and eventually Nigerian Defense Academy came to be the one I opted for after having admission to 2 or 3 places, a Polytechnic, University of Ilorin, as well as the Nigerian Defense Academy. And the rest is history.
The Army as a Lieutenant General by dint of hard work and privilege. How are you finding life outside the trenches?
Confirm life after retirement?
Outside the trenches, how are you finding life outside the trenches?
After the service?
Outside the trenches, how are you finding life after retirement?
Very good. Well, I find it very, very enjoyable and pleasurable in a way, because all my life I've lived a life of dedication to service and the service of the Army, my country, and humanity. And after retirement, I had to take some rest, and my constituency up to now has not really left me, because they still give me the opportunity to come around to attend their seminars, to attend their program, give lectures, and all those stuff. So all those things still keep me active, apart from other private things that I do.
In 2014, as GOC in Maiduguri, you led the reclaiming of local governments occupied by Boko Haram in places like Borno, Yobe, Adamawa states to enable us have elections in those states. What was the experience like, and what factors enabled you to record those lightning successes?
Thank you. Prior to my deployment to 7th Division as General Officer Commanding, the Boko Haram insurgency has taken a very serious toll on the Army in particular, on the military generally, in that most of the barracks in the northeast then, particularly in Borno, have been taken over by the insurgents themselves. Talking of the barracks in Baga, which housed the multinational joint task force as at then, the barrack in Mungono, which was an armored battalion, the barracks in Bama, which was also an armored battalion. So also the military deployment at Goza, all those places were right under full control of the insurgents. Aside from them, operating in almost all the local governments in Borno, at least 17 of them, as well as a few local governments in the neighboring or contiguous state of Adamawa, Yobe, by then. So I had a task given to me right from Army headquarters and from the Office of the National Security Advisor on what the country expects of us in the field. And that was it. That was the only thing I needed, with all the experiences and training that I've had before in the field, in training institutions, and in handling so many exercises in the Army. I was actually very clear of what I was going for and what I was going to do. And getting there, I went into work straight away. I must give kudos to those I met on ground, because they gave me the initial on-the-spot briefing on exactly what was obtainable on ground, apart from what we pick up in newspapers, what we pick up from stories. They cannot be the same as what is the reality on ground. But having gotten the reality on ground, I had enough basis and enough information, relying also on continuous strategic guidance from the Army headquarters on what to do. And that was how, after I took over, we went into serious planning. We went into psyching up the troops. We went into ensuring some of the things that they required were actually sought for and given to them, at least to boost their morale. You can imagine all the troops that have been driven away from their barracks and concentrated in and around Maiduguri. You can imagine what their morale was. So one of the major tasks was to shore up their morale, for them to believe they are soldiers and they can do it. If they cannot do it, if all of us cannot do it, then nobody will do it. Then there will be no place called Nigeria, and Nigeria is our own, is our country, and we just must do it. So just like the slogan we had as small children during the Civil War, that to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. That was part of what we also used to be able to psych them up, provide the little we could lay our hands on to beef up their morale and to gather whatever equipment we have to be able to start the onslaught again, right from inside Maiduguri. So gradually we move out towards Baga, towards Mongono, from Mongono to Baga, come back after taking over all those barracks and all the towns on the way. Came back, planned to go to the other side, Bama, Goza, Bita, Yamteke, all those places we planned. Though it was tough getting to Bama, without 3 times we made attempt, we couldn't get there. We had to go through a different route. Eventually, we succeeded going cross-country through a place called Mafa, and we were able to take on Bama from the rear. And that's how we succeeded in taking Bama, which was one of the 2 major caliphate headquarters of Boko Haram as at then. The second caliphate headquarters was Goza, which was just at the fringes of Sambisa forest. Eventually, we were able to also capture all those places. So most of the areas, the place that really posed serious problem was the northern part, especially close to the border with Chad. Those areas are very, very difficult areas in terms of the terrain. So that gave a little more problem. But eventually, with the multinational joint task force, all those places we were able to penetrate and created the enabling environment for us to be able to operate and contain the onslaught of Boko Haram and ISWAP as at then. I think in summary, I'll just stop by that.
Interesting. Also, I recall that Chadian forces were involved in the liberation of some Nigerian communities. I mean, they sacrificed their lives on Nigerian soil. Do you agree with those who are saying Nigeria needs foreign support to defeat terror?
Please come again. You are distorted.
I do apologize for that. I mean, I recall that Chadian forces were involved in the liberation of some Nigerian communities. They sacrificed their lives on Nigerian soil. So do you agree with those who are saying Nigeria needs foreign support to defeat terror?
The Nigeria use a strong support?
The Nigeria needs foreign support, international support to defeat terror.
Thank you. Actually, considering our strength, we really need cooperation from particularly our neighbors, which is really very, very important, because whatever we are able to do inside our territory will come to naught if our neighbors are not brought on board. And that gave the main reason why the president at then brokered the new multinational joint task force. That's the first layer of international support that I believe was very, very critical. Aside from that, when we talk of international support, yes, there's no country that has everything it needs, either economically, militarily, or otherwise. And considering the fact that we are not a manufacturing nation, especially of military equipment, so buy-in of the international community for us to be able to access equipment and even additional specific technical trainings to handle those equipment were really necessary for us to collaborate with international community for their support. I think on that basis, it was really necessary that we needed the cooperation of the international community for us to do what we have been doing and what we are able to do.
So should such support involve putting foreign boots on ground?
Is the support still on ground? I don't understand.
Should such support you're talking about, should it involve putting foreign boots on ground?
No, it does not include putting foreign boots on ground. When the thing started initially, yes, there was the air component support that supported particularly in the training of some of our own Air Force pilots on the use of the available aircraft for rail combat. Aside from that, they also took part in some of the operations, especially from the air. But in terms of boots on ground, we only have foreign trainers who were training our own special forces. As at then, it used to be called 72 Parachute Battalion from Makurdi. So most of the elements that were being used as special forces then, they trained them for us. And they gave them additional training, apart from the airborne and other special trainings that they have had. And those were the things that we used.
All right. General, let's take a quick commercial break. I'll be back with this conversation.
Democratic.
In the corridors of power, a new chapter unfolds. The 10th National Assembly beckons, and at its helm, a leader of unwavering resolve and unyielding dedication, Senator Godswill Akpabio, a beacon of hope for a brighter Nigeria. From the halls of governance to the Senate floor, Senator Akpabio's journey has been one of fearless leadership and steadfast commitment. His vision for a prosperous Nigeria echoes through his every action, from commissioner to governor, from senator to minister. Senator Akpabio's remarkable journey has left an indelible mark on Nigeria. His uncommon transformation has reverberated across the nation, earning him the nickname Uncommon. Beyond his remarkable accomplishments, Senator Akpabio's heart beats for the unity of our great nation. Today, as he aspires to be the Senate's president of the 10th Senate, Senator Akpabio's unyielding passion for an egalitarian Nigeria fuels his vision for a united nation, where every citizen's voice is heard and respected. Support Senator Godswill Akpabio for the Senate President of the 10th Senate and join the movement for a united Nigeria, where our shared aspirations become our collective reality.
Institutions fail, organizations crumble, companies go into oblivion, nations are on the path of decline as a result of a deficit in leadership capital. Godney Leadership Center presents National Leadership Conference with the goal to rejig leadership competencies of senior managers in private and public institutions. This conference provides an opportunity for learning, peer review, and networking, with amazing speakers like Brian Tracy, Professor Lumumba, George Fraser, Stephanie Busari, Senator John Gottin Abraham, Josephine Nweze, Ife Sekibo, Sheriff Idi, Engineer Benga Komolafe, Taiwo Afulabi, Otto Oradam, Rahim Anyako, and Linus Okore. MFR date 23rd and 24th June 2023. Venue Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. To register, visit the link on your screen or call 0815-791-9770. Think leadership, think Godney.
Thank you very much for staying with us. You're watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And tonight we're discussing winning the war against banditry and terrorism. And to help us get robust perspectives on that is the former Chief of Training and Operations of the Nigerian Army, retired Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun. All right, General, In 2014, the army under your care used the Russian-made T-72 main battle tank. How crucial was that weapon of war to the successes you recorded back then?
Thank you very much. I will call that armor tank, the equipment, I'll call it a game changer. Why? The tanks that we had before the introduction of T-72 tank, even if they were good, they were already old, and getting spare parts for them was very, very difficult. Even those that were not used, most of the hoses and rubbers and few connections were already very, very bad, and we couldn't get solution. So using them was very difficult because as at then, it was not just an asymmetric warfare. Boko Haram was really doing normal military operation, and we needed all those equipment. Otherwise, they were using our own tanks in our barracks to confront us. There were both small and big tanks that were available within those barracks. So we needed all those things to be able to take on them effectively. And before I continue, especially with T-72 tank, I want to also remember that very gallant veteran, may he so continue to rest in peace, Colonel Abu Ali. He was actually the commander of all the tanks as at then. In fact, anywhere we want to use elements of T-72 tanks and the crew, Abu Ali was just the answer all over the theater. And may he so continue to rest in peace. Though he paid the supreme price, but he should be immortalized and always be remembered. He worked very, very well with me, and I'm very, very sure what I'm talking about. So having said that, the T-72 was actually a game changer, and it assisted us to be able to knock off some of the heavy equipment that the insurgents, or call them adversaries, were using against the army as at then. And that gave us a very good edge and a very good opportunity to also embolden our troops to be good to go any direction we are ready to move.
I mean, you left the army as the Chief of Training and Operations. What did those responsibilities entail?
Okay, maybe I'll have to, at this point, make that correction. I actually left the army as Chief of Policy and Plans. After a stint as Chief of Training and Operations, I was promoted, and eventually I was moved to the Office of Chief of Policy and Plans at the Army Headquarters. That was where I was for about 2 years before my glorious retirement in January 2021. But as Chief of Training and Operations, I had responsibility to superintend over all the training of personnel, both officers and soldiers in the army, as well as all the operations in the field. That was a really very huge task. But along the line, I would say I've been privileged in the army. I was a weapons instructor. I was a tactics instructor. In fact, instructional posting took about 6 years of my career in Jaji. So that put me in a very good stead. So in terms of operation, I was also lucky to have gained experience in many places. In Liberia, I was there. In Sierra Leone, I was there. Even in Congo, I was there during the troubles. So all these are added experiences that really helped me in achieving some of the feats I achieved with all my officers and my troops through the grace of Almighty God. So as Chief of Training and Operations, I actually know exactly what is required to be able to continue to defeat the security challenges we have, both in the Northeast and those seeping into Northwest as at then.
All right, thank you very much, General, for sharing those stories with us. All right, so let's get to another core segment for tonight. Many people believe that the war against terror has taken too long. Let me ask you, why has it been difficult for us to decisively defeat the enemy?
Thank you. That's a very important question. The war on terror is not as simple as the war between two countries. And the level of sophistication in the world today makes most things along that line more prolonged and more difficult. But suffice to say that I think we need to really look in-house to improve on some of the things that we have been doing and that we are also doing. Yes, as Nigerians, I keep saying it, we must be very proud of ourselves, despite the fact that we have this myriad of challenges, that the military and security agencies are able to contain these people and prevent them from taking over Nigeria in general and taking over specific spaces they are marked for themselves at their own strategic level. I think it's something that Nigerians should be proud of their military, proud of their security agencies, and proud of themselves. But having said that, we want to advise that we should not look at these insurgency and security challenges as military duties alone. In fact, in situations like this, military aspect of this, which is called kinetic effort, is just about 25%. There are so many other lines that need to continue to improve on what they are doing. A lot has been done. We have so many policy documents. We have laws that have been reviewed to be able to undo terrorism and all this. But how well are we implementing those policy documents from all other lines is also what we need to really look back and review. So also we know some of our serious challenges in the country, especially with the first provider of security, especially when it has to do with internal security. Over time, Nigerians, for whatever reasons, lost confidence in our police. It's most unfortunate. And that made the political leadership as then to draw out the military, though it's part of the constitutional requirement, but it's supposed to be a swift intervention from the military, finish the job, go back in, allow the police to continue providing internal security and others, with the military waiting in the wings to support during any escalation that they couldn't handle. But unfortunately, that was not to be. We are still grappling with that, and you could see, apart from the challenges the police are having, we can also see that even the military, the military component, has started lapsing into some of these challenges. Some things that the soldiers are not supposed to be exposed to. Having stayed out for so long, it's already affecting them. We have been seeing some malfeasances that are not supposed to be seen with the military. Agreed, the internal mechanism are handling that, doing court martials, dealing with those that are really found culpable, up to them, not only dismissing, including jailing them if necessary, even some, depending on what, can be convicted for capital punishment. All those things are there. So when you look at it in totality and you look at our environment, you look at the corporate Nigeria, what are the things that are really not necessary for us to happen so that we can maintain our unity. You see, those are the things that some, for whatever reasons, decide to put in the front burner. The issue of ethnicity, the issue of religion, the issue of community distrust. There's no trust among many Nigerians, even within the same community. So all these things in totality keep fanning the ember of problems, the ember of insecurity. And these are things that we really need to look into. Why the military continue to do the yeoman's job they are doing with all the security agencies, I think, like it has always been said from everywhere, the business of ending this insurgency is what every Nigerian will have to be directly and indirectly be involved. And why do I say this? Right from the community, right from the homes, the traditional rulers, the religious leaders, there's need for us to take security very, very seriously. Most of the people that are being recruited and are being used are Nigerians. They are from our various homes. What are we supposed to be doing that were doing for us, that were done for us by our own forefathers and parents that made us to be what we are today, that we are not doing? We should do a sort of soul searching from the homes down to all those facets that I've mentioned. Aside from that, we have policy document that has outlined what and what should be done by who, by what. We should go back into those. We have the National Counterterrorism Strategy launched in 2016 on behalf of the federal government by the Office of the National Security Advisor. Those documents encompasses almost everything that needed to be done, but the focus has been more on the military. Not taking it away from the military must win the war. But there are two elements to it. There is the war and there is the peace. The military continue to do what they need to do to win the war. But the other 75% that have to be done by all of us, the government, the governed, the non-governmental organizations, the civil societies, all of us have a stake. And until all of us put our hands on deck and know that this problem has been there and we need to solve it, and we make concerted effort individually and collectively, that is when we can really see to the end of these challenges that we're facing.
Right. General, we've seen noticeable progress in the northeast, but there are threats in the north central and the northwest. What needs to be done to make those parts of our country safer?
You are saying we have seen what in the north central and northeast?
We've seen noticeable progress in the northeast, but there are threats in the north central and the northwest. What needs to be done to make those parts of our country safer?
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. There are a lot that can be done, both on the military side, and I'm so happy that you mentioned that we have seen a lot of progress. If I can mention specific, in recent time, not quite long, we have so many people that have surrendered from the northeast, about 98,000 plus of them. Some of them women, about 29,000 women. We have about 18,395 men, and the rest, a little above 50,000 children. If we have this coming out, it means the real insurgency and their and those that are supposed to take over from them, they are already coming out. And eventually, we might see the light at the end of the tunnel in no distant time. But having said that, we have to give kudos to the government. We have to give kudos to those that have been in the forefront of military activities before and now for this success. So in the north central and northwest, majorly it is banditry. So also others and farmers conflict. Before, others and farmers conflict has always been there, but it got escalated a few years back because of so many reasons. We have to look at political solution. While the military is doing its own, there should be political solution, and also the resurgence of in the north central. For now, you can see, we all know during the rainy season, especially after the planting has been done and crops have started blossoming and towards harvesting season, that is when the thing increased, or is usually on a high side. I think these are things that there has to be concerted effort for us to address the issue of others and farmers. And because of the degenerating situation, those that used to tend their cattle before and they are satisfied with it. In fact, I read it somewhere in somebody's research where he interviewed a repented bandit, and he said for him or for a typical Fulani herder, having an AK-47 gives him more power, more authority, more confidence, and more money, because he can use the AK-47 to do whatever he wants to do, more than following his cows all over the place. He would rather prefer to even sell the cows to buy weapons. How did we get to this place? What are those things that led to this? Political intolerance, ethnicity, religious bigotry, and so many others. Then the issue of mineral resources, gold, diamond, and all what have you that are there. I think there's need for a more robust policy on how these things are to be annexed. One, not denying the locals, the so-called artisanal miners, not denying them the opportunity of employment and their little stipends, and also ensuring that there is a coordinated exploitation that will benefit the federal government and every citizen of this country, like it is done in the case of crude oil. If this is done, I want to believe there will be reduction in this problem of banditry in the Northwest. The North Central mostly has to do with others farmers. A lot of propositions have been made. In some states, there are even draconian laws that rather encourage others farmers' problem rather than solving. I think all these things will have to be looked into and reviewed to ensure that we have a mid course where this problem can be minimized and both the others and the farmers can be happy and be able to ply their trade without one unnecessarily interfering with the other.
Now, the president has promised to tackle insecurity head-on. He has met with the service chiefs and toured the National Counterterrorism Center, which many analysts have applauded. What do you make of his approach so far?
Sincerely, I feel very proud as a Nigerian that the new government has started building on what level of achievement the previous government left. And dialogue is very, very important in governance, in decision making, and in resolution of knotty issues. Now that the government is open to dialogue, the government is concerned about every little thing that can create problem. I think we should, as Nigerians, be happy and do everything to support this new government to see that, yes, we are in a very difficult time, but serious determination is there right from the government. So those of us who are the followership must also be ready to play our own part by supporting the government to let the country get out of most of these yearning challenges.
Has also stressed the need for synergy and sharing of intelligence among security agencies. Why is this a big issue in the country?
Well, in any human endeavor, there's bound to be any human interaction. There's bound to be some differences, both individual and collective. And at times, when it is more pronounced, it destroys the aim and the cohesion that is expected. Just as Mr. President has said, previously, from where we are coming from, we know there used to be unnecessary bickering and tension. But I want to give it to the present crop of leadership in the military and the security agencies that it has really improved. But that is not to say we are there already. It can also, by far improved. We'll continue to work together, continue to share information. The earlier the information is shared, the data is compiled, the earlier it is better to analyze and come up with real intelligence that could lead to proactive action rather than responding, so that some of these things can actually either be prevented or nipped in the bud before they escalate into wanton destruction of life and property.
All right, General, I would like you to be very specific now. What do you think the new administration needs to do to win the war against banditry and terrorism?
Thank you. I've said it before, building on what is already achieved. So one, let's start from our borders. No matter what we do inside, we just have to make sure our borders are secured. But we are not too lucky in this because the border is really very, very fast. We have a total land border of about 4,047 kilometers, while that of maritime is 853 kilometers. These 4,047 kilometers are shared. You see Nigeria with Cameroon with 1,690 kilometers of border, 1,497 kilometers with Niger, while we have with Benin 773 kilometers and 87 kilometers of borderline with Chad. With these statistics, it is not really easy to police the borders. Why? Our policing the border is still more of physical. So there's need for the new government to up the ante by employing technology to support the physical policing of borders. And aside from that, if we look into the renewed hope manifesto, in the security there is already there. There's need to increase the boot on ground. There's need to provide the resources needed, the training and equipment, including the way all those things are already encapsulated. And the steps being taken already within this 1 week of activities of the new government are pointed to the fact that the government is ready right from the onstart to take the bull by the horn. So I will suggest that we take the issue of our borders very, very seriously, because proliferation of small arms and light weapons is a menace. In fact, in West Africa, almost 70% of illegal arms are said to be domiciled inside Nigeria. I know there's a commission already by law and by function under the office of the National Security Advisor. They are doing so much also in this aspect. But to complement what they are doing, the borders have to really be policed properly using technology. We'll see what Syria was doing with its own border. So we can also look out and see what we can do to improve on that. When you look at our border with Chad, it's the shortest, but it's the most difficult, because those borders straddle the area they call Lake Chad Islands, which are called Tumbus. That terrain is super difficult. So those are the kind of places where technology is really, really required. And that will help also in other areas that are really very long, but technology, appropriate use of technology can complement and assist in policing the borders. That is one. And also sticking to the already laid out plan in terms of more booths, not only for the military, but for other security agencies that have one thing or the other to do with the border areas. So this is really very, very important. And we can also look at deeper than even the borders, even within, we also must improve on the technology for the security agencies as well as the military. As it is now, there are more powerful and technical drones that can actually assist in military and intelligence operations. All these are things that the new administration will need to look into very well. The next one I want to talk about is the media. Sincerely, media is very key to solving the problem of insurgency. If I can quote Margaret Thatcher, the former Prime Minister of UK from 1979 to 1990, during the hijack saga of Transworld Airline Flight 847, where 150 passengers were taken hostage in 1985. While addressing a group, she said, and I quote, "Media is very important to fight terrorism. If terrorists take action and the media is quiet, terrorism will end." He went further to say we must try to find...
All right, General, sadly we're out of time. I mean, this is a conversation that could go on, but sadly we're out of time. But of course, I know we will have this conversation some other time. Thank you very much, General. I've been speaking with retired Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun, former Chief of Policy and Plans of the Nigerian Army, tonight to discuss winning the war against banditry and terrorism. Thank you very much, General.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here. Get in touch with us on Twitter at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke OO using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Goodbye.
New Happy Sachets. It has a thick formula, so all you need is just one sachet for your toilet bowl. It gives 10 times better cleaning and big savings too.
Wow, Helen!
Sparkling clean toilet with Happy Sachet.
Itchy, greasy and smelly braids can be a thing of the past. Introducing the new Ruba braids from Expression. Made with 100% Aquatex fiber from Canicolon. The new Ruba braids from Expression is extremely fast drying and perfect for friction-free washing. Stay dry this season with the new Ruba braids from Expression, now available in pre-stretch and regular braid variants and in beauty shops near you.
With total submission and gratitude to God for a life well spent, we announce the transition to glory of Mr. Tolu Ogunkoya, whose sad event occurred on the 25th of April, 2023. Burial events are as follows. Service of songs comes up at the Redeemed Christian Church of God, the Sanctuary, Tom Allen Center, Stratford, London. Date Tuesday, the 6th of June, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Funeral service takes place at Greenacres, Epping Forest, Kiln Road, North Weald, Bassett, Essex, United Kingdom on Wednesday, the 7th of June, 2023 at 11 a.m. There will be a night of tributes on Tuesday, the 13th of June, 2023 at Shiva Center, 20 Mobolaji, Bank Anthony Way by FCMB at 5 p.m. This will be followed by a commendation service on Thursday, the 15th of June, 2023 at the Chapel of Christ, The Light, IPM Road, Alausa at 10 a.m. He is survived by wife, children, brothers, uncles, aunts, and cousins.
The new Happic sachets. It has a thick formula, so all you need is just one